Yaakov Leib.
Yaakov Leib.
So the first part is that it's not. When you say it's not. Aside from this, I take up here. But also, only Chinas Makif. Right, the Hispalos is only Makif. Like other possession, don't really be piled. It's not going to cover all of it. Because it's not a piece. It's like a pilot. It's not serious enough to bring that real action.
Ready?
Plastic. There's nothing plastic here.
Big passes.
It passes. Yeah. The spiders pass. Me should do our country. The Mila use someone who is real smart, yeah, he's real boss info. So all that probably a self-proclaimed person.
So the novelty of this concept of Yeducha Hashem Kol Ma'asecha V'Chasidecha Yivarechucha is that it has both the milas of tefillah and a bracha. Right? It has the vados that for sure this is going to happen, as when a person gives a bracha. The ashpa flows. Yes, it's a 770 vinyl wall drape. And someone joined and asked if this is a vinyl 770 because it really does look quite funny because it's like you have so you do Hashem Kol Ma'asecha from a place of Haid. We have this Hamshacha, in other words, a place that's higher than Seder Shtalshalos, that we can only have Haid, there can only be Haidah, not Hasaga, but only Haidah. And through the Chassidim, it's brought down, there's the Hamshacha. And it has both the Maila of Tefillah, which is typically Haidah, and a Bracha, which is a Hamshacha that is brought into the world because it's forced into the world. In other words, the person giving the bracha is doing something that's milmaila lamata because he's above the ar that he is sending down. And tefillah is a bakasha that we're sending up and asking for it. But tefillah is greater because it creates a ratzein chadash, whereas a bracha is for sure going to happen, but it's just allowing a ratzein that's already there to come through. Tefillah is brand new. And then we said that Yiduch Hashem Kol Ma'asecha V'Chasidecha Yivarechucha has both, and we wanted to understand that further. So we said that this happens through Torah. The Chasidecha Yivarechucha, how do they bring this Hamshacha from a place higher than Erin Seif, the Ma'alam Yishtalshlos? It's through Torah. That the Torah brings a change and something brand new into this world. And he brings the example like Rashbi, right? Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Today's the day that we start, that we do Visin Talamatar. And I thought it was yesterday, but it was last night that we started. So just like Rashbi, who brings down rain through saying Torah, even though the Torah that he said didn't even hint to anything to do with rain, but just simply by speaking the words of Torah, Rashbi was bringing Mashach to the world what the world needed, or to his place, what his place needed. And the Rebbe points out the fact that he brings that this Hamshacha happened through Torah is not just to say that Torah also has both of these miles of tefillah and a bracha, but to show something specific about what we're talking about here, which is this idea of Yiduch Hashem Kol Ma'asecha V'Chasidecha Yivarechucha. So then we said that as is explained in the Likkutei Torah, the great miracles that many Tanam and Amoraim do. Right, like Reb Pinchas ben Yair, who said, "The river split your waters for me." All of it comes through their Torah.
You find an elevation from the outside.
So we see that also by the Tanam and Amoraim, through their being involved in Torah, they had both of these milas. That they brought a new chiddush. They brought a new change in the world, something that didn't have a shirish makar in the world, like splitting the river, for example. And it wasn't through asking for it, right? But it was by his command. Because Ben Yair said, "Split for me."
It's not going to last. It's not just death. Not keep it away from clothes. It's not going to last.
But that's different than what the Rebbe Rashab brings in the Maimer about Rashbi's bringing down rain, because in all those other places they gave the gzeira, right? Like Rabbi Yehuda said, "Split for me." Whereas Rashbi didn't say make rain happen. He was just saying Torah, so rain happened. And then we said that we can further explain this according to what the Rambam writes, the difference between chesed and tzedakah, right? That chesed is that tzedakah is for an ani, chesed is both for an ani and an ashir, because tzedakah is to fulfill what one lacks, and that's the right
even
thing to
if
do.
I'll stuck if you were to give a usher money, it's to be daim chasre
Of what he lacks.
of what he lacks, which is right,
Deimach means
to fulfill his ashiras, right?
Up to what he was used to in his previous lifestyle. That's what you have to give him mitzat tzedakah. Mitzat chesed, you give to everyone, poor, rich, and it's not. And as we explained, it's not stam giving. It's not just a more amount of money if the person was rich, but it means continuous hashpah. And then ultimately, we said that it's the whole idea of chesed is greater than an usher, right? Quoting from the Rebbe Rashab's Maimer.
Which is stuck as compared to is the Indian of Shachas Gilei Shachla Malchus, because Malchus is the Eibishter, the way he's Chaser Hay at Asisa Shemaim, which is he leaves himself the way he is for himself and just works with the world. If he Chatzainis Malchus, to be what the world needs to be Machaser, Daim Machaser of the physical world, right?
Yeah.
But then there's Ezu Chasam Estasin Koinoi, and it's explained to Kunei Zayar in Kandilei. That Zoh, that all of a sudden is the Eibishter, the way you bring in Zoh within Malchus. Gilei is in Malchus, that you're Shachas Gilei or Chadash, right? Which is the Inyan of Chesed. Inyan is first Kesser Atik.
Right, that's outside of the realm of Seder Shtalshus.
Right, because Arik is Makif, right? But it's Bichlal, the way they show Shemakar and Salim. So it's Ar, which is still Shach to Malchus. The thing for are saying in the scales of Malchus, the Malchus, the Seder, and you need Ark of Validation, it's supposed to be in Salim, the Sarah Atik. Atik's already the finish of a Mike, so our Tishal Malchus, which is a new Ara Shiras. Right now, the Rebbe brings a new Vart, because the Vart I said that even to Asher is not based on what we said in Oisei. Ais Vazer was Papi Oisei. It's stuck as Dafkala Niyam, Daimachasa Shayachsalai, and then Indian of Church is more than you need. Now the Rebbe comes to such an amazing part. Mamshabam Isuk Marshaki La Niyam was something being La Niyam being Lashir. Session was something like Gamashir, Mishash Pashman. That's it. Well, Mila Madega Usher. That means that Chesed from Mila from Usher. So the heart, the Lachera, the actual Lamar Dash Pas, the Chesed La Usher, who Shamashvim La Ashiris, Dela Yosim Ashir Shaisim Mekaidam.
Yeah.
So you don't want people to learn the whole thing.
Right, Lahar, the Lachera was after do we actually just say that Shpas, the Chesed La Usher.
If we're talking about a much higher R, we can just say when it comes to supplying to an usher, you're giving a lot more.
One second.
You know, what they're doing is just pointless because they're not giving whatever. So you have to wait for that. You're doing it wrong.
Wow. It's not just that you're giving him more ashiras.
It's not just that.
No, you have to be. It says in the Maimer, Lamaila Medegas Asher. If it's Lamaila Medegas Asher, you have to give a new R. The Shvash Mashvili Asher, who in Yish Archa, how do you keep it to Penaway Chaser, in Yish Mashvili Asher? Right, it's not the Amitas Inyan Asher.
In other words, tzedakah to an usher is giving them money. but a lot of it, because you need to put them back. You need to reinstate them in their previous position. But chesed in Asher might have nothing to do with money, klal or klal, because money is within this person's rank. When you're supplying chesed, you're giving them something that's out of their realm, right? The guy knows money. He doesn't need my $50,000. I'm giving him something that's totally different. Now what? We'll have to find out. You have to be
in a sug achlegami. Possession ain't like any bar of any chasar v'ashur shalei. This doesn't have this inyan in his. It's not the arach within his arach at all. It's not lacking in his ashuras.
Meaning, I'm not trying to satisfy a need that you have. I'm not coming and saying like, oh, I see you need this, so I'm going to supply it to you as chesed. That's tzedakah. Chesed is not about your need. It's about ashpa that's totally out of your rank. Zayin. Kol hashvein chalivim. This is Zayin. Let's see what that is.
If he's an Indian, which is not within his at all, ain't it? I'm not sure.
And even now, when they're building their agreement, according to the cities that
I mean, this day he doesn't have this. This Yiducha Hashem.
I don't know yet what it means.
No, right, but what he says is that Gimel Chasad Tan Asher is that he's not lacking in his assurance before he receives your Gimel Chasad. You're right.
And that whatever you're being Gimel Chasad isn't giving him something that he was lacking before you were Gimel Chasad. It's something new to him.
Right.
It's like sometimes you buy a product that was advertised to you and like you're already convinced like I need this in my life, so you buy it. And then whether or not it works for you or serves you or whatever, great. But then there's like, you could be gifted something that's just like, I didn't know something like this existed. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah, so, okay.
It's still not a great example though, because you could be gifted something that you didn't know existed, and then you're like, wow, I didn't know that I was missing this, because like it's something that I really did need. But here we're not talking about something that there's a lack of.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to read or you read?
Go for
it. So in order to explain this concept of kindness that you're bestowing upon someone that's even greater than riches, Maktim ba'amaimer bir inyan ha'ashirus she'haya b'mei shleima. The Rabbi Rashab prefaces in his Maimer explaining the concept of wealth, of riches that were in the days of Shlomo HaMelech. Dargachi nailas shabashirus. It was the highest level of wealth. And he explains in the days of Shlomo HaMelech, the moon was full. What does that mean? Meaning, in addition to the fact
which is
that Malchus was complete, right? All 5 partsufim. What did we say they are yesterday?
It's very interesting. Also, it's just interesting to see. You see across the board in the world that 7 is completion, right? You see it by
Stephen Covey's 7 Habits.
Exactly. I don't even know why I just said that. I wasn't even trying to say that. I was trying to say
high end 7.
7 days of creation. Right. You have the 7 days of the week. You have 7. You'll see. 7 is completion. So you see a bunch of places 7.
7 is great. 7
is 7. It's like things the way they are in completion are 7. 8 is the mile. It says, right? You also see it in Zah. That's what I was trying to say right now.
Well, Zah is 6. Then Zah in Malchus is 7.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You have, but in the music notes, in a scale, there's 7 keys in a scale. They really say 8 just because the next C is, they put it in the octave, within the octave, but really it's 7 to complete. And Hey Partsufim, every key starts on the next 5th note. So C, D, E, F, G. G is the next key after C. So everything's on the 5th. Which within Zah we call it Hey Partsufim Shenechseru.
No,
They
Hey
call it the 5
Partsufim.
faces.
Hey Partsufim we said are Chachma Bina.
Keser, Chachma, Bina, Zah, Malchus.
Right. I'm saying it's not all within Zah. Zah is part of what's going on here, and it's only considered one Partsuf.
Right. No, but each, meaning the next key isn't within the thing. Meaning there's 7 notes to play in the system, which is Keser, Chachma, Bina, Zah, and Malchus. That's the system. That's each body system. That's would be like sort of the scale. And then Hey Partsufim is that they each each scale restarts after 5. 5 is like is where it goes to the next Chachabina, whatever. Anyways, I was trying to connect it to music. I don't know if it's working out.
It's always connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very far.
Anyways, yeah, Hey Partsufim Shenechseru.
Music is connected to this.
Yeah, I think you see things, algorithms. Anyways.
Yeah. So in addition to the fact that within Malchus, which is represented by the moon, Hey Partsufim Shenechseru, right? It had Shenu Shechu b'Malchus Hey Partsufim Shenechseru. It had its completion. It had all of these 5 Partsufim. Right? That's a full moon.
But also there's a art chadash, which is the Pnimis HaKeser.
That's right. Yemshach bo gama gilo de Pnimis HaKeser ate. Umeashirus de Malchus Knesset Yisrael nimshach ashirus muflaga liYisrael gama mata. And from the wealth of Malchus, in other words, from the fact that Malchus was full and complete and rich, right? In other words, the Yidden in their source were this way. So from there was Mamshich real, like, not real, I'm saying. Yeah, also Begashmis Lamata. Ashirus Muflaga Begashmis Muflaga, like really tremendous wealth,
Wondrous,
physically, to the extent that even silver wasn't like counted as anything in the days of Shlomo. It's like, oh yeah, okay, some silver. And also, not only that, but tremendous wealth, spiritually speaking. Right? We built the Beis Hamikdash in the days of Shlomo. Specifically, and we're not just talking about the fact that it was bedecked with all sorts of precious materials, because like we just learned, we were so wealthy physically that the precious materials were not even considered so precious. But that in the Beis Hamikdash there was a Giloi Naila Yaiser Mea Giloi Shaya Mishkan Shaya Likoidim. This Beis Hamikdash that we built in the days of Shlomo had such great Giloi Leikus, even greater than the Mishkan, with Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen.
Making mice.
Ulahisif Tizeh Shabimei Shlomo Haya Giloi Naila B'Yaiser. And in addition to the fact that by the days of Shlomo there was great godly revelation, Hugam Lefnation in the Beis Hamikdash. This was even before the Beis Hamikdash was actually built. Sharizesh Binyan Beis Hamikdash, you with me? This, that the building of the Beis Hamikdash was specifically through Shlomo Amarach. After Tavnis Hamikdash Nasa Yidei David, even though the what's Tavnis, like the floor plan, the blueprint for the Beis Hamikdash was made through David.
First guys, the good thing is,
Who Shloime Yeh Ish Menucha is as it's written, right? That I believe this is Hashem telling to David.
for these guys, Ki'isim Mamish.
No, it's Divrei Yamim. That he Shloime will be a man of calmness. V'shalom v'sheket etein al Yisrael b'yamav, and peace and surety I will give to the Bnei Yisrael, to the Jewish people in his days. And therefore he will build Hu Yivnei Bayis L'Shmi, he will build the house for my name, etc. You ever heard the Avram Fried song with these words? Hu Yivnei Bayis L'Shmi? It's a beautiful song. I have vivid memories of discovering it on the dorm counselor's iPod in Detroit, in Beis Hamikdash. It was like the only thing that wasn't a niggin on the whole entire iPod, and like I was and still am a huge fan of Avram Fried, and like I discovered this song and I never heard it before, and it was like piercingly beautiful, like mamish, like I really liked it. It was like on repeat for a long time. Hu Yivnei Bayis L'Shmi v'yadua d'zeh shekol hagoyim hayu b'teilim l'shleima, and it's known that since all the nations of the world who before and after Shlomo HaMelech might have been and were well likely antagonistic towards the Jewish people, they were nullified to Shlomo during his time. And that therefore in his day he had calmness and peace. Why was it like that? Because they were nullified to the revelation of the infinite light that was shining through him in his time. But we know that David HaMelech set the groundwork for it, because David HaMelech was a mighty warrior, and the nations of the world learned, don't mess with the Jewish people because you're not going to come out alive. By Shlomo HaMelech already, they didn't want to mess with the Jewish people. Right? It was in a way, it wasn't only... we might get into, that's the idea of Padiyah B'Shalim, right? From Shlomo HaMelech. Padiyah, not B'Shalim, it was Taka Padiyah, but that was by David, right? He fought for victory. He broke us out of prison, right? And by Shlomo HaMelech already, it was, everybody was mitzad, the great Gilui Beruchnius going on. Everyone was like, we don't want to touch the Yidden. The Yidden are God's people.
And what they're essentially doing is,
and we also know that many people from all sorts of nations came to Shlomo HaMelech to hear his wisdom. Right? The true reason is they were drawn to Elikus. By the way, it's like that for the most part in any shul, in any Chabad house especially. Like, the rabbi might be amazing and he might give really nice speeches, but what's drawing people to shul is the fact that they want to come to shul. They are drawn to Elikus. And the leader of the congregation simply needs to be the conduit to transmit that. But he's not the one bringing the people. As it says about Mashiach, that all the goyim will like a river, travel to him. That's the direction that they'll be flowing. Attracted to godliness. Yeah, Shlomo HaMelech was great and wise, but that's because he was a godly man and bringing about godly revelation in the world. And with more, right? What's the Hayom name? When a light is placed, people gather. That's the way it was. So the Rebbe is saying to us all this to say that the Gilui Elikus wasn't only mitzad the Beis Hamikdash. It was that this was a ripe time for the building of the Beis Hamikdash because of this. This revelation of light that was shining then drew to it the sparks within all the nations. Right? Just like a bonfire that collects all the smaller flames around it. Right? Eventually all the little sparks on different pieces of wood unite to be a bigger fire. Okay, and since, as we've been explaining, the revelation that was then was a very lofty revelation. Therefore, even the sparks in very far places, right? And of course, why are they in far places? See footnote 47. Everything's rooted beruchnis. Right? The fact, I don't know if it's set up the same way in that sefer, but the fact that those nations were far away from Eretz Yisrael, which is the
Wait, where are you?
I'm finishing Vav. I'm finishing Zion.
Okay, yeah.
Right? It's the epicenter of spiritual consciousness, is because they are further from spiritual consciousness. But the point is that Eretz Yisrael, through the Yidden at the time, through their king Shlomo Malach, was doing such a good job at bringing Gilei Elikus into the world that it affected not just the small little strip of land called Israel, but even the places most far flung from it. They felt it and they were drawn to the Elikus.
Question.
Really be able to take and handle things in a
Have you ever seen? I've tried to see this. I've never seen it. That by you ever seen a torch have its sparks? Try to
generally speaking, it doesn't allow them to really take things in a fundamental
be dissolved into its source of flame.
thorough way.
The way I always see torches is that the sparks
For sure,
go up.
not
They
shy.
don't
Those
reach its
things
flame.
are necessary for these flames.
See it all the time. So this.
No, but the point is that they.
You don't see that. Apitava, when you see people light a fire, the little sparks, they go up. They always go up. The same place where the light place is.
Well, what we're saying here about sparks is that the sparks collect and become bottle within the bonfire. But Bichlal, I'm not sure if this is what you're saying, but when we talk about Aish remaining on the wick,
It always says down to this that the tutus, the sparks, right? Cling, belong to, just like the we're saying the Goyim come to Asma, they come to its, they always try to go to its flame. They're always going to its flame. Always says down to it. I never seen it. I don't know. I've seen it go to its mucker. It wants to go to the same place of the flames mucker. You know what I'm talking about? You see a bonfire? Where the little things, you never see them coming to the flame.
I know visually what you're saying. I don't think that's what we mean by nitzaitzis.
She couldn't bear to see him.
I always understood it with sparks of the flame.
But that's not a spark. That is the flame already. The top of the flame is already the flame.
No, I'm talking about the little sparks. You see like 1,000 little sparks out of the flame. I think that's what the sisters are. They're the lashon.
It's a good question. I don't know. You gotta ask someone who has a fresh day on these things.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
So because the Gilui was so strong, it even pulled the nitzitzis from far away places, which of course are far away only because that's how they are beruchnis. Nimshachu la'gilui shahir ha'idei shloima. So it's because of Malchus Shva, Shema es Shema shloima, v'Shem Hashem gomer, v'Tovei Yerushalayim gomer, if I'm saying it with the proper nikodes. Right, as we see with the famous story of the queen Shiva coming to, right, it says that she heard the reputation of Shloimeh for the name of Hashem, and she came to Yerushalayim. And in the famous Maisa where she asks him to differentiate between the male servants and the girl servants.
Yep. Okay.
So right away, what do we decide? 2 bow and arrows.
Stop here.
If you want to.
I just need to do 45 violence.
Okay, so we'll stop here.
I'm glad I got it in. I did not think I would wake up this morning.
I didn't even see your text till 7 a.m. My phone's in airplane mode after, I don't know, 11.
Time that it should be wealth upon you.
I mean,
Career.
I can't really figure out. I mean, now it's clear that we're talking about physical wealth. Like before, it seems like we're talking about wealth as a concept. Now we're like also talking about physical wealth.
Because David and Shannon are both incredible people.
Yeah.
Different, so incredible.
Yeah.
David, if you read his Tehillim, it's like, I so relate with him. I so relate. Musician, that's also fighting, like,
It's gonna be true.
such interviews. Steinmetz is like
You see, the more challenge.
came about like someone who worked on himself completely, like works through his trauma, and then starts his own story, and then like his kids don't have to carry that like stuff that he had to work through. Steinmetz seems like complete just there, complete complete wisdom, everything just like.
That's what they say, that Shani has no...
But he can come from a father who had to battle.
Go over there.
She's doing is
Can I say to Ches? This is very strong line, right? There's also a piece of a sikha after this.
Amazing.
So the guys that become healthy.
It's good. It's also long, so it's good that we started well before.
I want to do it
you
again. I want to do it one more time before you.
I'm down. I'm loving it.
Much better, I think.
Ellie, have an amazing day. Assurance should be.
Muflaga.
Yeah, but you should have abundance
I'm
that
leaving
is
town, by the way.
beyond.
So tomorrow, I'm not going to be here. I'm leaving town for Shabbos. I'm going to Baltimore.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It does. If I'm not going to have this stuff now.
It doesn't mean we can't learn. We can learn over the phone.
I would love to learn over the phone. Because I don't want to miss 4 days, you know?
One of my minor insecurities.
I'm going to say L'chaim.
Everything I'm doing is ulterior motive.
It's too early, so it's great. Yeah.
Calls out
Oh. Okay.
general.
Fred. Hey, Fred. I'm not on Discord, at least not yet. I'm barely here. I'm just building this up slowly. Chagamatzis, if you're still here, you would love this mimer.
Many people trip.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, Gela, wow. Push it like L'chaim L'bracha. L'chaim L'bracha. Kol Mevarech Hasbarech.
Amen. Assurance Flaga.
Ein Ani Ela B'das, right? Assurance Beruchnius first. L'chaim. Oh, I have no idea. But that's awesome that you're still here. I wish there was a way to join, to like bring in another video, live with audio, and then we could learn. That's strange. Well, sometimes the reason is because some comments are from Facebook, some are from YouTube, and some are from Twitch. But here it's all from Twitch, so you should be able to see. I have no idea. I also don't know why Twitch doesn't save these videos. It's supposed to save them not on the premium subscription for 7 days before it deletes it automatically. So just to recap, because I don't know, like I didn't really think about it so much how to incorporate, everybody who joins through the video into the Chassidus, especially when we're already in the middle of something. But just to recap, so the Maimer is Pada V'Shalim, which is Pada V'Shalim Nafshi Mikravli Kiberabim Haywi Madi. That's a quote from chapter 55 of Tehillim, of Psalms. And we know that that's connected to the Alter Rebbe because he writes in his letter after he was freed from imprisonment that as I was saying this this part of the portion of Tehillim the way that he did it by week. So it was for Tuesday. I believe that that's in the portion for Tuesday. He said, as I was saying these words, Hashem redeemed me in peace. So we also know that, of course, since everything that happens below is because of what's like really going on behind the veil, above, if you want to call it, or on a deeper dimension. So we know that the Alter Rebbe's imprisonment and eventual freedom was because there was a debate in the heavenly realms whether or not the teachings of the Alter Rebbe, namely the esoteric wisdom of the Torah, in its most raw and powerful form, should be released to the masses, as the Alter Rebbe was doing. Right, this already started in a major way from the Arizal, and it was coming down into practice and being taught even to simple folk by the time of the Baal Shem Tov. And Alter Rebbe now was doing it further. He further pressed the pedal to the metal by saying, like, this shouldn't just be emotional, but we can actually understand this, and we actually are obliged to understand this. So his freedom was obviously God basically agreeing to let loose these inner secrets for us to be able to not just relate to the loftiest levels through our intention and through our emotion, but also through our mind, that we can get to the place of emotion through intellectually generating that. Now, the concept of being redeemed in peace is the parallel to being redeemed not in peace. In other words, there's a way to break out of, in this example, prison, right? Or there's a way to be freed from prison. Or perhaps even there's a way to be freed from prison which is not in peace, which is with all sorts of, terms and persecution. And then there's free to go, or we're dropping the charges. We're not saying that this sticks or whatever. And the Alter Rebbe was saying that this was a Padiyah B'Shalem, so we want to understand what that is. So the Rebbe brings a lot of nigla. He says that the Gemara, when Rashi brings this Maimer Chazal, there's a Maimer Chazal on this pasuk of Pada B'Shalem Nafshe Nikravli, which is Kol ha'osek b'Torah b'gemilas chasadim u'mispal l'matzibur ma'ila ani olav kilu pida'ani li Banai, I forget exactly the lashon, mibein ha'omay za'olam. Whoever is involved in Torah study and in bestowing kindness, he's doing kindness, and he prays with a community, in other words, prays with a minimum of a quorum of 10 men. Hashem says, I consider it upon him as if he redeemed me and my people from among the nations. Those three things. So we see Torah, Chesed, Gemilas Chasadim, and davening with a minyan, which are typically called in all sorts of different statements of our sages, Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. Avodah being the one that is related here to specifically davening with a minyan. And Rashi, in that place where the Gemara says, this Maimer Chazal says that he splits these three things into two categories. That Kol ha'osek b'Torah and Gemilas Chesed is the idea of Chesed. That's the idea of Shalom, peace. And davening with a minyan, right? That's the idea of Pada B'Shalom. And davening with a minyan is Kivirabim Hayu Imadi. That's explaining why there was the Padiyah B'Shalom, because there was many with me. Kivirabim Hayu Imadi. So he splits it into two things. So the Rebbe says we have to understand, like, what is that differentiation between Torah and Gemilas Chesed, that we're calling that Shalom, and davening with the tzibur, that we're calling this Kibir Rabim Hayu Imadi. And we also say that this is a very interesting statement of our sages, because typically when our Chachamim talk about these three things, Torah and Avodah and Gemilas Chasadim, they're talking about the Torah, the Avodah, and the Gemilas Chasadim, not the person who is doing these things. And here, the way that it's quoted, as if like that God says, anyone who is involved in Torah and Avodah and Gemilas Chasadim, I consider it upon him, right, as if he redeemed me and my children. So here it's about the person. It's being said about the person doing this, not about the things being done. Right, like we have the classic Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim are the three pillars that holds up the world. It doesn't say that the person who does Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chesed is holding up the world. It doesn't say that. But here it says the person who is involved in Torah study and Gemilas Chasadim and davening with a minion, I consider it upon him, etc. So we'll stop here. Because this was supposed to be a kitzur, and I started not doing it for kitzur, so I gotta go. But we shall continue. I hope tomorrow we'll be able to still. I'll figure out a way to live stream and be on the phone with Chazak. Thank you.
Every detail of the singing,